Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, well, next part here in this series is we're going to do an engine teardown on my 289 behind me, and we'll see what it looks like here. So, couple things here. I got my thing on an engine stand. You're going to need that, and then really here, if you're super knowledgeable on this stuff, engine builder or something like that, you can just get out the power tools, zip this stuff down, and you'll be done in no time. For the rest of us there, you got to take some time, and for one, take a lot of pictures so you know how it goes back together. Two, you got to also, there's, like on the water pump, there's several different kinds of bolts, so bag your stuff by part, like all your water pump bolts, valve cover bolts, that kind of stuff. That'll just make it 10 times easier to go back together. But also taking it apart is a little bit of a learning curve here, or I guess exploration. Like, I have no clue on this engine if it's been tore down. There's some new parts. I don't see the heads coming off. I'm really hoping here that it's not already been bored out and I'm wasting my time with this engine. So you want to just go slow, especially if you're having engine problems there. Part of the teardown is really investigating what everything is wrong. So take your time, check over your parts, go slow. Again, take lots of pictures for yourself so you know how to get it going back together. You're going to want a good engine manual here to tell you how to do things as well. But with that here, we're going to start here one piece at a time, take it apart, and just inspect everything. Is there anything wrong with it? This thing's got a aluminum manifold on it somebody put on there, but is it cracked or anything else wrong with it? I don't know. So I want to sit there and really look at it, inspect it, make sure there's nothing problems, and we're going to go from there. But everything you want to do, take a little bit of time and see if there's anything wrong with it, so hey, here's maybe what happened to my engine, or here's why it was missing, or here's why it was knocking, or what have you. Obviously there, when you get to the engine shop, to have it done, they're going to check everything for cracks and make sure that's good. You can't really do that yourself, but a lot of this stuff here, take your time and investigate while you're doing it. It's going to make going back together easier. It's going to make understanding your engine a lot better, and like that. So with that, we're going to sit here and get after it. Okay, well, I'm going to here start by taking off the intake manifold. Get that out of the way. Going to take off our little crossover tuber here for our, I don't know what this thing is here, a little bypass hose. Start by getting rid of that. See if we can just pry that off, maybe, if we get lucky. I'm not going to take off my radiator hose here at all, or my water pump neck. I've got a brand new thermostat in here, everything like that, so I'm just going to keep all that in place. One of these has got to give. There we go. I might just leave that right there. Okay. mine, I got a little plate back here for, I think it's for my throttle. Just gonna loosen that up and get it out of the way here. Hopefully, there we go. Go ahead and just take off this particular bolt right here. And I can stick that back on. Again here, gonna be just sticking everything in a intake manifold sack here, so. Okay, we're just going to be gently prying on this thing here, very gently. It's going to be glued down here pretty good. There we go. Okay, here, hopefully you can see everything under here looks really good, nice and clean. You can see there, so I can get you a little bit better look. Lifter valley here, everything's looking really clean. See here, nice 289. Not seeing any issues at the moment, but this is what we want to do. Just slowly but surely check everything and see if there's any issues that you can spot. So let me take another look and then we'll pull off this valve cover. Okay, time for our valve cover here. Again, keep all your bolts here together, at least in an organized fashion as best you can. It's going to make them easier just finding which ones go all the way back together. So I got in here a couple of ones here when I took my wire loom off, and I also got my distributor hole down in that one. So off. There we go. I had these off earlier, so no problems today. All right here, so I think here, let's go ahead and remove this. I'm just going to do, so my plan here is I'm going to do this side here to kind of show you, and then I'll go ahead and do the other side. I want to get one of these heads off here prior to, I just want to see what the cylinders look like, so I want to do a little bit more inspection on that. So I think I might try to get these exhaust manifolds off. I don't know necessarily why, but I'll go ahead and probably try them. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these spark plugs out here first, and we'll do that. There's a big 13/16. Holy cow, that sucker was tight. See there? You can see that nice number 4, all in good shape. A nice burn on it. These really old spark plug types. Number 3, looking really good as well. This engine was running really good. It's just, it's got a mist to it. I think one of the valves aren't seating there. You can see here, this one's really good. The red color is I run a lead substitute in the gas. They're just because it's got non-hardened valve seats as far as I know, so that kind of helps them out. But so far, this side's looking good. Here's the number 1, also looking really good. All right, we're going to try zipping these off here. So let me get a little bit of the stuff go here. Get a little bit of penetrant oil on there. I don't know what it's going to do on the outside other than just make a mess, but that's okay. We'll see here on that. I'm going to fire up my air compressor for these. those two there weren't even tight. Well, that there, folks, was some extreme luck. So I don't like using air stuff too much on stuff. I like taking stuff apart by hand because you get a better feel for it. But anytime you got really rusted stuff, like a ratchet or something like that, an air ratchet or something, or electric ratchet, that kind of stuff help breaks it loose. So I don't sure what the heck was going on, why these were so hard to get, or easy to get off. This one here leaking really bad. These two are good. These two here were both leaking. They weren't very tight. So hopefully the other side comes off just as good. So now I want to go ahead and pull off this head. If you're planning on reusing your camshaft, you want to keep everything in here in the same order. Mandatory is your lifters. These lifters have mated to this camshaft. They have to go back in the same hole, otherwise it'll destroy everything. So if that's your case, keep it all in the same order. I'd highly recommend not only keeping your lifters, but keep your push rods and even your rocker arms here. Keep them all in the same order. That way they all go back. And then there's no, especially, again, the lifters is the critical ones there, but I just recommend them all. That way they all fit back. They're all been used to each other and they all work good for you. So, yeah. Let's get these rocker arms off here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna reuse these or not. I don't know what all this stuff means. I got all sorts of different numbers on these things. So I don't know. Still the stock heads on these things. So let's get this off. Okay, it's time to zip off these heads. Okay, let's see if we can break these things loose. One back here was loose. Not a good sign. Kind of why I like doing a lot of this stuff here by hands. You never know what you find. So I could tell those back exhaust ones weren't very tight, thankfully. But when I was using the impact wrench, but sometimes you don't know it, especially if you're just zipping them off fast. You don't know what's tight, what's not. This rear head bolt here on the bottom was not tight whatsoever. So we shall see here. Previous owner didn't keep very good records of anything. So this car has been somewhat of a mystery the whole way since I've owned it. clearing some room for myself here. This thing's going to weigh about 700 pounds, so I'm not looking forward to that. I want to be careful here that something like this doesn't slide off on your foot. Just a little bit of prying here. Okay. All right, let me get things cleaned up here. We'll do a quick inspection. Okay, folks. So I got these out. I'm not seeing any markings on them. These look like stock size pistons here. I don't see any overbore marks on them. The cylinders and stuff like that actually aren't too bad. You can see there's definitely a little bit of wear in the darn things. Let's go check out this head. So here's the head. This isn't so bad as I was thinking. One of these ones here wasn't sealing very good, so I'm not sure if I'm not going to use these heads, so I'm probably not going to tear them down. But definitely a lot of carbon buildup over the years. They were really carbony. The old spark plugs when I first got the car. This thing probably got started up, drove 3 miles down to a car show, sat there all day, drove 3 miles back, and that was it, probably once a month. That's all this engine's seen before I got it. Really in good shape. You know, it's got about 90-something thousand on it now, which are probably original. I was told this thing was never rebuilt. Obviously had some work done to it, but it appears to be stock condition. So we will take that. Yeah, not so bad down here in the bore. Still see a lot of the cross hatches in there. Not too bad a shape here. We'll have to further inspect, clean up some of these other pistons here, and see. I sprayed some stuff on there, which is why that one's so black. But yeah, we'll take the other head off and continue our inspection there. So let me get done and we'll take the other side off here. I'm not going to show that. It's the same as this side. Okay, I just went and cleaned off all the pistons there. It appears to be a stock bore. I can't tell if these are factory pistons or not. They ain't got any marking on them. Normally pistons are marked 20 over, 30 over, that kind of stuff. I'm not seeing anything like that. You know, a crude measurement of the bore, you know, I'm getting maybe 4.1 inches, you know, so it's not, or 4.01, so it's not 30 over for darn sure. But anyway, I'm getting anxious there. I want to pull one of these pistons out next, so I thought I'd show you where I'm at here. Look at these lifters here. There you go. I mean, they are all in just spotless shape here. Really doing good. I'm not noticing any cupping on any of them there, but this engine was in really good shape. So again, if you're keeping these things, they gotta be in the exact same hole you're taking out of them. So be mindful of that. I'm gonna throw these ones away. So what I'm gonna do here for my next step here, we need to be pulling off this front, but what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna quickly pull off this pan and pull one of these pistons out just to inspect it. So I just want to see what I'm looking at first before I do a whole lot of work. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the pan off. There's really nothing to see there. Just undo the bolts around there and drop it out of there. And then I'm going to knock one of these pistons out, whatever one works out the best. So let me get after that. All right, folks. So again, I'm cheating a little bit here and going to pull out one of these pistons. So just doing some quick visual inspection. Everything looks good. I really can't tell anything from underneath the piston skirt. So I'm just going to pop one out. We're going to go back through all this when it comes time to do this. So this is just kind of a quick check. But just in case you're as curious as I am here, find one piston here. Make sure you know which one's marked. So on this Ford here, this cylinder up here is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the other's 5 through 8. And you can see here, this is the second hole on the top. And you can see they're both marked with 2. So you want to make sure you keep all these things aligned as well, and you know which one goes where. So just be cautious with this. So I'm just going to pull one out, so it's not a big deal, but just be mindful of that. So I'm going to pull this cap off here, and then we're going to tap on the bolts a little bit and see if we can push the piston out. So let me get after that real quick. Okay, folks, I got one of these pistons out. Man, I'll tell you, this engine is something else. This has the original Ford Motor Company pistons in there. They are the CA56100, so these are late 65s, even though it's a 66 engine. I think these had 9.81 compression according to the inner, but I don't know. But this is a stock standard size piston. I've taken out the bearings in there. You can see a little trash has gone through this one right here, but on the back side, these are Ford Motor Company bearings in standard size. So take a look at this rod journal here. I mean, this engine had great compression and stuff like that. There's a little bit of wear in there, but that's it. So as good as this thing has without mic and everything, man, this is a perfect candidate here for a quick ring and bearing kit, and you could put this thing back together. I think that my big issue on this thing, it was burning a little oil, so definitely needs to get honed. Now I'm going to plan on doing a complete rebuild. I'm just giving you some ideas here. But it was burning a little bit of oil, leaking oil all over the place. I'm still, it had a little bit of a shake to it every now and then. I'm pretty sure, again, the heads, I don't see anything wrong with the darn things. I'm not going to reuse it for things for sure, because they're just not any good, quality. But I think I'm with running unleaded gas, I think I got one that wasn't sealing all the way. But every once in a while I got a shake. I'm still suspect that my brand new, so this thing here's got a brand new flex plate on it, and I'm still suspect that that's not a 50 ouncer. I don't know how to tell the difference. I know the weights are different, but I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to, so I'm going to ask the engine shop there to make sure that's the correct 28 ounce balance on it, because it did have a funky shake to it every once in a while, and it wasn't, it felt different than a mist to me. Always have. That doesn't mean anything. But I'm set. When I pulled that thing off and seen that brand new one, it was like, aha. I bet you that's the wrong size. Might not be. Might have just been a miss. With one of the definitely getting an issue with the valve somewhere. That could just be it there. But I'm still suspect on that. I'm gonna have to check that out. But yeah. So right now I have a big smile on because this engine looks to be factory fresh, as I was told. But it's hard to say. Just looking in here at this timing chain here, this thing's definitely fairly loose, It looks like a single roller here. I can't tell if it's factory or not. One small part of me thought maybe someone stuck a camshaft in this thing when they put the an Edelbrock intake manifold on it. Just suspect they didn't put a camshaft in there, and if they did, I'm pretty sure it's the wrong damn one. This thing doesn't have a lot of power to it, and something's weird with the thing. I don't know what it was. Could just be very little horsepower. And again, I got 278 gears, but something's funky with this thing. So it's going to be interesting here to pull off the front cover. We're gonna go back kind of where I left off, taking off the heads, and kind of do a full engine rebuild. We're going to come back underneath this thing here at the very end. I just really wanted to check one of those pistons out to make sure, you know, it's not 60 over or some other crazy thing and I'm just wasting my time with this block. But this thing is pristine. Holy cow. Yeah, nice. But anyway, I'm also going to be interested in to check out to see if that's the right cam. Also going to see there if this thing didn't jump a tooth possibly. I also should check here really quick while I got this thing here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to check to see if the timing mark on this balancer sits at top dead zero. Now I marked it top dead zero on this thing as best as I could. I stuck a little thing in my spark plug hole there, and it felt pretty good. But I'm going to check that as well just to make sure if that's it. So let me get after that. That's something else I'm curious to. But this is part of this thing. You need to do some investigation when you're doing this thing to see what you're up against. So far, man, I am stoked. So anyway, let me check the top dead center on this thing once. Okay, I don't got the timer, the pointer down there lined up perfectly. I keep going this side and this side, but it's pretty close. But my piston's top dead center. Is it 100% perfect? Who knows? But it's pretty close there. When I did this thing, when I was checking this thing initially, I thought this was off. I went in there and put a piston stopper, which is basically a screwdriver, and just kind of measured it, and it's pretty goddamn spot on. So I was happy about that. So anyway, that's just something on here. So okay, that's that. Let's get on with the show, and we'll leave here, or we'll start off where we originally left off. We got the heads off here. Now we're going to pull the front of the engine down here and get rid of some of this stuff. So let's get after that. All right, well, just a little bit here. I was taking off my motor mounts here, and I did notice something here. So here's one side of the motor mount. Here's another one. So half my engine, this is off the passenger side here, that wasn't even connected. So that was probably a little bit of the shaking going on there more than anything else. But yeah, this is part of the investigation process, just to see what we got. Might be causing your issues, but boy, I'll tell you, everything in this engine so far has just been spectacular, which is good. And there's just like no sludge, everything's clean. But yeah, so let's get after this here. We're going to go back and start pulling off the front. We'll get this water pump off, then we'll do the hopefully get the pulley, and we'll do the front cover. So let me get set up for that. Okay, I'm going to start by removing our water pump. So you definitely want to keep your water pump bolts, keep everything separate in their own bag, but you might want to, again, take some good pictures of this stuff, and you know, you might even want to stick this like on a piece of cardboard. All these bolts are all different sizes here. So you've got a couple here that are the same. Then you got a longer one. This one's a short one. There's a short one. Then there's two different size long ones down in here, which I've already taken out there holding my alternator bracket on. So you just got to pay attention. If you get them all mixed up, it's not a big deal. You can figure it out, but just something there to keep mind of. So let's go ahead and start pulling this off. This is a brand new water pump for me, so I'm going to keep it. So it's keeping all the parts together here. Looks like there's a washer on that one right there. There we go. See your various different sizes here. Got a couple bolts right here. I can't remember on these things which ones I gotta take off and which ones I don't, to be honest with you. Yeah, we'll see here. Let's start with this bad boy right here. This looks like one. I've never seen that before. Alright. Let me get my little light going here, as I feel like I got one more bolt. That's probably that one right there. Okay, this looks like a 5/16 is what it's coming out to be. Snake. Probably better ways of doing this. Oh yeah. Gotta have one bolt that's effed up, of course. Let's see what I can do here. See if that does anything. All right, so we're using the impact gun here. I got a 24 millimeter. That's not the size of it, but it's close. So let's see if I can get this off. Yeah, that was pretty easy. Thankfully for that. All right, so we want to put this back in a little bit here. Put it in a few threads. You can put it in a little bit more than that. You don't want to ever put your pulley on your crankshaft. Always put it on a bolt. So let's see what I got for a pulley, and we'll see if we can figure that out. Okay, well, I found a puller. Happens to fit. And I've got it holed in here by 3 old, near rusted in half exhaust manifold bolts, because that's the ones I could find that fit and that were long enough. So this works good a little bit with like an air ratchet or something to give it a little bit of jerking motion, but the end of this thing's been beat on with a hammer so many times trying to break stuff loose, it's all wonky out of here. So this is a crescent wrench operation, so I'm going to hope here that I can just twist this thing right off. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. It's those exhaust bolts. Look at that stuff just coming right off there. Hold on, I've got a phone call coming in. That's some spam, of course. Ah, yes. Man, I tell you, everything with this engine so far has just been fantastic. Can't complain. Oops. All right, now I'm gonna get this crescent wrench off. Take these things back out here, and I still got our bolt on the inside there. Again, you want to make sure your bolts, your crankshaft bolts in, not tight, but make sure you got it in there. Several threads are about halfway anyway. That way it doesn't screw up your threads inside your crankshaft. You don't want that whatsoever. Now, I could tell you that I found a can of liquid wrench that I think was my grandmother's from back in the 60s that I sprayed on there, and that's what made this thing just pop off nice and easy, but I'm suspect on that. So, just thankful that it came off really nice. Huh. Guess you don't really need that. I guess it comes over. I took the washer off the bolt here, so I guess didn't need to try to take this off first. So anyway, one more thing done. Okay, next here, let me get a bag. We're going to take off here our front timing gear cover here. So, yeah, I got the sun coming in. I can't see a darn thing. I hope you guys can see stuff. But variety of bolts here. So again, you do got to take your pan off for this one. There's a couple of bolts that come up on the bottom, but there's a variety of other bolts there. There's some here on the outside. Here it looks like after the pan's off, looks like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe. And then there's a couple up here on the top. And so these ones here, I'm going to go ahead and just start with these ones. It's like they're all 1/2 inch. And they should all be good and tight because I was getting leaks everywhere up here. And so I was, a lot of these things were loose. And I was just going around tightening everything there, so I can't find any identifying markings on my flex plate to see if that's a 28 ounce or a 50 ounce. They're supposed to be 28 ounce, but I can't find any markings on the darn thing. I'm sure it's a 28 ounce, but it just feels like this thing had just a weird vibration every now and then. It wasn't a constant vibration, but it would pick up. But it could have been that, and it only happens certain times there, so it could have been that darn motor mount. Might be all the issue is. Might not be nothing wrong with it there. I just always suspect on something there. So we'll see. Keep tearing it down there. I'll probably take that to the machine shop and see if they can tell me what it is. They'll probably recognize it right off the bat. But I can't find a way to visually identify it. There's no markings on there to say what it is. When I Google it, it just says, yeah, the 50 ounce weight's bigger. I was like, well, no shit. But it doesn't tell you how big this one should be or measurements or look for this mark or anything else. So got a ton of cleanup work to do, I'll tell you that. Stuff nasty. I think that's another factory, it's all factory plate here. I see it looks like a Ford stamp on it. So that's good. Alright, I got everything off? I think I got everything off. Just do gently a little bit of prying on this thing, see if this thing just pops off by any chance. How about that? Alright. Whew. If you can see that, look at the back side there. All looks in really good shape, nice and clean. That is awesome. Alright, let's take a look at this thing. Oh, yeah, a little sloppy there, so that's not surprising to me at all. Got our slinger here. I'm going to snap another picture of that really quick so I know on my other phone. Try to snap a picture of it. There it is. All right. Take our slinger off here. And then I'm gonna sit here. Now that I've got this apart and I can't do anything, get my little let's get this thing back on here really quick. Just trying to line up the pointers here really good. Holy cow, is that thing loose. Okay, I think we're coming up on top dead center right there. Yeah. Let me get you guys down here to take a look at this thing. Okay, so look at this dot right here. It's slightly this way, just a hair as I'm looking at it, but look where the dot there is and the dot there is. I am at least off a tooth here, and so not sure if it was installed that way. That might be 2 teeth there, but I think this thing might have jumped at some time. This thing just hasn't had any power, and the timing of it's really been funky here. And again, this whole thing's just been a massive learning curve because I have no idea what's been done, what hasn't been done, or who's goofed with it. So yeah, to me, this isn't what I would expect. Maybe it is, but that doesn't look right to me. So anyway, let's go ahead here. I think we'll zip our cam bolt out and we'll pull this sprocket off. All right, I'm gonna switch sides here. It's a little more difficult work from the side, but I get just some wicked suns coming out. I just can't see anything. Jesus. Just trying to see if I can get away from not getting my air wrench out. Sorry for my elbow here. There we go. Whew. Alrighty. All right, the old fuel pump eccentric is looking pretty good shape. I'll stick all this stuff here in one sack. Let's see if we can just slide this off here. Wouldn't that just be nice? Nice. That's not, got to work on that a little bit. 8406. Can't tell. Alright. Let's see if we can get that out. Trying to see if there's any markings on the end of the cam. Not seeing that. Let's see if we can just pull that off the rest of the way. These cam retainer bolts right here, 2 of them. Yeah, that's actually pretty good shape as well. Just good. These bolts on here. So, I'll tell you here, so I've got a couple of little marks on mine, and they're off to one side, and they were just like this. So I don't know if it makes a difference where they go right now, but I'm just going to mark this thing top. That didn't really work with a darn. Grease pencil doesn't work. Yeah, I'll take a picture of that. Okay, that's for my record. I'll stick this down in here. Again, I'm not sure if that's going to come out there or not. Look like it wants to, which is fine. So let's see if I got a bolt here for that. The size that looks like a water pump bolt size. If I'm being honest with you. Go back to my water pump bolt sack. Pull out a nice bolt here. That clearly doesn't fit. So we can get this thing out really. No issues here. Let me look at this thing real quick, see if I see any markings. If you guys can see that or not. So that's actually says an Urson cam. So I'm gonna need to Google that thing up there and see what markings are on this thing. It's a TO28 and it's got a 789. So I'm gonna Google that thing, see what it is. So definitely somebody has sometime put a cam. That is also not surprising here because, again, this thing has just been dead. So I'll Google that up. So I think that's it here for the top side. Gonna pull off our little gear and then we'll flip this thing over and start on the bottom. Okay, we're gonna take our oil pump off now. Got the engine flipped over. I'll take our screen off here. Crap. Dropped my bolt to fish that out. All right, here, let's see. Shit. Yeah. Hold on here. I got somebody pulling the driveway. All right, back at it. What the heck size is this? Jesus. It's not a good spot to try to get to. Probably need a little swivel or something like that on a ratchet, but every time I find that. Get our little dry shaft there. So keep track of this thing here. Highly recommend putting it in a new oil pump and like a hardened shaft. So I'm not going to be reusing any of this thing, but darn sure want to keep it all together. All right. Well, next up is the moving all these rods. So let me fish out my bolt and get set up for that. All right, well, pull out another piston here. We're going to remove all these here. You just kind of want to get them lined up with a hole. So you'll have to rotate it a little bit here. Again, it's very similar to the other one that we did. Just crack these off. And just be careful to keep everything together. The right rod caps to the right pistons and all that kind of stuff. Crap. So yeah, I don't know if you can see here, a little bit of wear. That's how it goes. Put this over here, and let me get a nice brass. I should get a brass tapper there. It'll work out really good. I don't have one here, so I'm going to use this homemade punch here and just kind of tap these things out as best I can. There we go. That one's out. So, oh, look at that. That was my, holy cow, what side is that? That's driver's side. That is number 5. You can see that. Broken ring. How about that? So that's some of the problems. But, hard to see. Some scoring on the side and stuff like that, but yeah, let me get all the rest of these out. We'll see what else we find. So it's part of the investigation. All right. So I got my pistons out. There's at least 3 of them with broken rings. I didn't go through and check them all, but 3 of them just fell apart. So a lot of issues there. We're going to go ahead now and take off our crankshaft here. And so we're going to loosen up our main bolts. And yeah, let's try it here. Again, I probably got some funky size. This is a 19. That's all I could find handy. Let's see if I can break these things apart. I should just get my impact, but this is working out okay. Holy cow. This one wasn't even tight. Isn't that funny? Yank my microphone off. That one, boy, that one wasn't even tight. Holy cow, that one wasn't tight. What's up with this stuff? Nope. Oh, that one's tight. Wow. So, one good thing here, I don't like using a lot of air or electric ratchets there. It's just for that reason there. You might have never noticed that. Now, does it make a whole lot of difference whether those were loose or not? Not necessarily, as I'm going to replace all that stuff, but anyway, now I know a lot of these weren't loose, and so it still makes me wonder why that stuff's loose. So it's still kind of making me wonder whether or not that flex plate is the right size, because maybe that thing was vibrating and is starting to shake this thing apart. Don't know. So the other thing here, let me get you over here so you can see this thing. Figure out where my light went. You can see here all these main caps here are the step 1, and the arrow's going that way. 2, the arrow's going that way. 3, 4, and this is just the end one down there. And you're pulling your engine apart there. You want to make sure that yours are marked and you know which way they got to go. Most of these things have to go back in the same spot. You always want to try to get them back in the exact same hole. If you're going to get the whole thing line bored, it doesn't make a hole necessarily the same way, but that's what you want to do. And so a lot of these have to go a certain way. They got different functions on them. So all these got arrows that the cap goes that way, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on there, I guess, as it goes down there. So keep track of that stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to loosen these up and yank this crankshaft out. We'll see if there's anything other mysteries in there. Okay, crank is out. Nothing special with that, but that pretty much concludes our teardown. So not too bad overall. You can see here these main bearings there. So nothing really super bad. Definitely a little odd there that they're loose. So I'm still possibly leaning toward they stuck a 50-ounce flex plate on there, and that might have been vibrating itself apart. Don't know that. I can't tell one from the other. But either way here, yeah, the engine's not bad. Stock bore. You can kind of look in there. There's not a whole lot. There's wear and some scratches and stuff like that, but there's still good hash marks. Not bad. I'm not sure if you could hone this thing and get away with it. I'm not going to at all. I'm just pointing that out. Sometimes, on these old engines, you can get away with a lot of tolerance and just simply do a ring and bearing and put the thing back together, and it'll be like, new again. But that's not the route I'm going to take. So this one here is going to go to the machine shop. So anyway, that's the teardown process. Take care.